everyone, and welcome to another episode of Selling Greenville, your favorite real estate podcast here in Greenville, South Carolina. I'm your host, as always, Stan McCune, right here in Greenville, South Carolina, and you can find all of my contact information in the show notes if you need a realtor in this area. And please, if at the very least, you might never use me as your realtor, but just take a second to like the show, right? If you're watching on YouTube, just hit the little like button. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Make sure you don't miss future episodes. And if you're on a platform like Apple Podcasts, Spotify that lets you leave a rating, I'd really appreciate it if you guys could do that. So please just take a second to do that. I've noticed I've been getting some sporadic likes on YouTube. You can also comment on there too. I love those comments. I try to respond to them. But please, if you don't mind, just take a very, very brief second to do that, and I would greatly appreciate it. Today, we are going to be doing something that I don't know has ever been done before. I'm going to be completely honest. Maybe it has been. Probably someone out there has done it before, but I've never heard of anyone doing this before. We're going to be looking at the multiple listing service and using the price analysis tool, which we have talked about on the show before, to reverse engineer the value of different features for a home. All right. Now I'm going to screen share here so that you guys can see exactly what I'm looking at. And so we talked about this price analysis tool before, but long story short, it basically takes all of the data that I've entered into the multiple listing service for a listing, and it can be an active listing or a partial listing. If it's a partial listing, it's not on the market yet. Nobody can see it except for me. So right now I've got a dummy partial listing using a property that I currently own as a rental property. Okay, so I'm not using someone else's property, doing something weird like that. I didn't have to get permission from anyone except for myself to do this. But basically, the price analysis tool in the multiple listing service tells me, based on the data that I have entered into the MLS, right, the location of the home, the list price, and all of the features that were checked, it tells me how many buyers it matches to that have saved searches in the multiple listing service. So I just ran it, and it told me that there are 168 potential buyers matched to my home at $450,000. Now, does that number sound low? Maybe. That's actually a decent number for the multiple listing service. Remember, this is not telling you all of the potential buyers. This is just telling you the saved searches in the MLS. And a lot of people right now are they have their saved searches on Zillow and whatnot. So this is simply kind of synonymous of a larger pool of buyers is the way that I see it. So 168, that doesn't mean that there's only 168 potential buyers in the market, but this is reflective of the market. And so what we normally would do with this tool is go, up or down on the price and then see how the number of buyers changes. So at 450, we had 168 buyers. If I drop the price all the way down to 400, it goes way up to 249 buyers. So that's obviously, you at that point, you're gaining an extra 30% of the market by dropping the price $50,000. By dropping the price, a little bit more than 10%. So that's typically how this price analysis is used, but we're going to use it differently today. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into the features of the home, and I'm going to change some of these features and see whether that changes the potential number of buyers that we have for the house. So keep the number 168 in your mind. That is the number of buyers that we currently have for this home. Now, this home is a tri-level home. And so I'm going to just start right at the top and just say, what happens if I just say that this is a one-level home? All right. So there's going to be a little bit of a lag time with some of this, because what I have to do is I have to make the change, then I have to save it, and then I have to run the price analysis. So changing it from a tri-level home to a one-level home increases the buyer count from 168 to 204. Okay, that's a huge jump, right? That's basically a 20% jump. So guess what? If my home were a one level, a ranch home, it would be 20% more, there'd be 20% more of the market for it than as a tri-level home. That's actually super interesting. I did not know to expect that. All right, so I'm switching it back to tri-level. The home is 50 plus years old. Let's say that I change it to, I don't know, let's say 11 to 20 years old. That's a really nice sweet spot because most people don't want the brand new homes. They want a home that has quote unquote, good bones. But at the same time, they don't want the really, really old home. So what did that do? That upped my number from 168 potential buyers to 188. So about a 10% increase, a little more than a 10% increase, by simply going from a 50 plus year old home to an 11 to 20 year old home. Let's see what happens if I do it as a 1 to 5 year old home, just out of curiosity. 1 to 5 year old home. Remember, the 11 to 20 year old home is 188. 1 to 5 year old home goes up to 196 potential buyers. So people really like that 1 to 5 year old home range. Let's see if I change it to new, never lived in. Now, I'm excited about this. Hope you guys are as excited about this as I am. I'm on the edge of my seat. 190 buyers. Okay, so this is what I was saying. There's fewer people, looking for a brand new home than there are, looking for a home that is 1 to 5 years old, which was, I believe it was 196, right? Hold on, let me run that again. 196, yeah, exactly. All right, moving on from that, let me change that back to 50 plus years old to be accurate. And we should be back at 168 buyers, which we are. All right, let's look at what else we've got. All right, I've got the lot size as a half acre or less. Let's see what happens if I change that to a half acre to 1 acre, okay? Or, yeah, half. This is very, very confusing the way it's worded here, but yeah, a half acre to an acre. Let's see if that takes us up from 168 to a higher number. Only takes us up marginally higher to 170. So the difference in buyers looking at homes with less than a half acre to those in the east side looking at homes with a half acre to an acre, not a whole lot. Not a big difference. What if we go to 1 to 2 acres? Let's see what happens at 1 to 2 acres. 173 buyers. So again, not a huge difference. So buyers in the east side of Greenville, acreage kind of doesn't matter as much to them. Now, maybe if we, went up, kept going up. Let's see 2 to 5 acres. I'm just going to do this. This will be my last acreage one that I do. We'll just see if this does anything. Yeah, it's still at 173. So there doesn't seem to be a huge pull for a bunch of acreage in the east side Greenville area. All right, let's go back to a half acre or less and save that. All right, let's see here. What else can I tinker with? There's a lot that I can tinker with here. All right. Let's say this. This is an important one. So this is a tri-level home. It has no bedrooms on the main level, right? If you know what a tri-level home is, typically the living room and kitchen are on the main level, and then there is a double staircase that leads up to a partial second level and a partial below grade basement level. And usually either upstairs or downstairs or a combination of the two are where the bedrooms are. And that's exactly what this home is. You walk into the main level, kitchen, living room, dining room, and then upstairs are 3 bedrooms, including the primary bedroom. Downstairs is 1 bedroom, a den, and the laundry room. All right, just so you guys can understand that. Now, one thing that we know is that primary bedrooms being on the second level really hurt the value of a home, right? Primary bedroom, people want it to be on the main level for a variety of reasons. Not the least of which is that people just want the ease to be able to just leave their home without having to go up and down steps. People that are older, they don't want to have to obviously deal with steps either. And if you know anything about the real estate market, the boomer generation is very, very active in buying and selling. Well, their knees are not, and their hips and whatnot are not as good as they were 20 years ago. And so very important as I deal with people, with baby boomers and those of the silent generation, it's very, very important to them that the primary bedroom is on the main level. And so I'm changing it from the second level to the main level to see what happens. Not a whole lot happened. It went to from 168 potential buyers to 170. That's actually kind of surprising. Now, this would not be the case in every neighborhood. I think that this is probably somewhat unique to this specific area, east side of Greenville. If you go out into other areas, I've found that primary bedroom being on main is more important. Now, there is another. Let me see if I can find this without just taking just way too much time. Okay, yeah, there is another place that talks about below grade and above grade bedrooms, but that's not going to affect anything. All right, so moving on from that. Now I've got all of the various features of the home, okay? Let's look at lot features real quick. Let's see if there's anything interesting here. So I currently have it as a corner lot with a fenced-in yard, sloped, with some trees, okay? Let's see if I take away the fenced-in yard. Let's see if that affects anything. So remember, we have 168 buyers with a fenced-in yard. It only goes down to 166 if I take away the fenced-in yard. Not a big deal. So the fenced-in yard, good feature, right? Definitely a helpful feature, but we only lost 2 potential buyers out of 168. That's really not that big of a deal. Let's see. What happens if we have a mountain view? Okay, let's add a mountain view. And I went ahead and put the fence back in there, fenced-in yard. Mountain view takes us from 168 buyers to 170 buyers. Okay, so there's a couple people that want a mountain view. Let's see if I do it as a cul-de-sac. Get rid of the mountain view. How many people want to be at a cul-de-sac? Or how many people don't want to be at a cul-de-sac? We don't know. Doesn't matter. We still ended up with 168. So I don't know if we lost some and gained some, or just nobody had that selected in their search criteria. What happens if we add a water view? This one might be the one that where we see a big difference. So some sort of a water view. It doesn't specify what kind of water view. It actually doesn't make that big of a difference. It takes us from 168 to 174. Now, remember, garbage in, garbage out. A realtor had to have selected that in their search, in their buyer search, in order for that to actually, make a difference in terms of what we're doing here. Let's put lake on here, right? There's not a ton of homes in the east side of Greenville on lakes, but I'm just kind of curious. Big difference here. That takes us from 168 to 185 potential buyers. So people definitely excited about the possibility of living on a lake. That's definitely something people are looking for. All right, let's see here. I've got some basement stuff, but this home it's already on a basement. Let's see what happens if I take the basement away. Let's see if that causes anything to happen with our count. If I take the basement away, we lose 2 buyers, okay? This is an argument that I've had with appraisers before, that the basement... I've had appraisers tell me that basements are worth less than above grade square footage. And that's simply not true. That is on multiple levels. That is objectively not true. The market, and this is anywhere in Greenville County, there are more people wanting a basement than there are people that don't want a basement. That's just the reality of the situation. Appraisers need to figure that out, need to adjust their way of doing business accordingly. But that's neither here nor there. Let's look at exterior features, okay? Current exterior features are pretty minimal. I just have a porch, front porch, tilt out windows, and vinyl aluminum trim. Not a whole lot going on there. Let's see what happens if we do an in-ground pool. All right. Now, before I run this, frequently people, there is this thing that's out there in the ether when it comes to real estate, that people think that in-ground pools are hurtful for a home value. And I, generally speaking, have found that to not be the case. I've found it to be the opposite, actually, that they help home values in the Greenville area because we don't have a ton of pool houses, particularly at affordable price points, like the below $500,000 price point. So let's see what happens. Let's see if we're at above or below 168 hits. Oh, yes, way above 190. So we gained basically, close to 20%, something like that. By adding a pool. 20% more buyers by adding a pool. People want pools. They want in-ground pools. Now, what I'm curious about is, what if I do an above-ground pool? Yeah, here we go. Above-ground pool. Let's just see. I have to. I'm sorry. Listen, I've got an above-ground pool that's built into my deck. All right, so no shame. So 167 buyers. So there's someone out there out of our original pool of buyers that is just like, under no circumstances do I want an above ground pool. That's amazing. All right, let's see here. Let's do outdoor kitchen. See if people are into outdoor kitchens these days. Someone has to specifically search for it. Nobody's specifically searching for it. Nobody asked for that. So outdoor kitchen, that's a classic example of something that is a luxury, kind of a luxury item, right? People aren't necessarily going to search for it, but they're going to like it if they see it. How about hot tub? A lot of homes have hot tubs. Let's see where we go up or down from 168. We stay at 168, so people don't care about hot tubs are not adding they're not inherently adding or taking away value. People are taking those case by case. How about a full yard sprinkler system? Ever wonder how much value that adds? We're about to find out how many buyers it adds. None. It has 0 buyers. Nobody was searching for a full yard a sprinkler system. So I apologize to you if you have that. Let's see here. Hearing a little bit of feedback. Okay, I think maybe there was like a loose connection there. All right, let's try RV boat parking. See what happens. How many people are looking for RV/boat parking? Takes us up to 169. So one person is added specifically looking for that. Okay, let's look at solar panels. Leased solar panels. We'll start with that, and then we'll do owned solar panels, see if there's any difference. Leased solar panels. We're still right at 168. So nobody has ruled them out. Nobody has ruled them in. Let's look at owned solar panels. See if that makes any difference. Owned solar panels. Doesn't make any difference. We're still at 168. So solar is just not on people's radar right now. They're not really thinking about it. They're not asking for it. They're also not currently ruling it out. Garage. Now, one thing that's interesting about this home is that it has a detached two-car garage. Let's see what happens if I change it to an attached two-car garage. And there's actually 2 places where I have to change this. All right, so I just changed that in those 2 places. And we go from 168 buyers to 179 buyers. Okay, so not a huge difference, but that is a noticeable difference. That's, about an 8% difference, something like that. Maybe not quite that much. Not quite that much. But a noticeable difference from 168 to 179. Definite, obvious preference for attached garages versus detached garages. think I figured out the feedback that I'm hearing. I think it has to do with my headset. I don't think it has to do specifically with the sound. So hopefully you guys aren't hearing that feedback that I have coming in here. All right, changing it back to the detached 2-car garage. Okay, let's see here. What else do we want to play around with here? Let's look at interior features. So the current interior features I have are disappearing attic stairs, cable available, ceiling fans, smooth ceiling, granite countertops, open floor plan, pantry closet, and there's a whole lot more that I can include in here. Let's see what happens if I change it to a walk-in pantry. Right, that's one of those things I could see people specifically having as their search criteria, but they don't. Okay, it's still at 168. All right, so people are not specifically searching for walk-in pantries versus closet pantries. All right, so that's good. That's good if you have a closet pantry. Let's see. Let's see if there are people specifically searching for split floor plans. Split floor plan, in case you don't know, it's when the primary bedroom is kind of on a different side of the home than the guest bedrooms. Nobody's asking for that. That's at it. We stayed at 168 for that. Didn't help, didn't hurt. Let's see here. We'll do second living quarters here in a second. Whoops. Let's do 9-foot ceilings. Okay, let's see if that makes any difference here. Takes us to 169. So we added one buyer by putting 9-foot ceilings in there. All right, let's do second living quarters. This would be like if you had an in-law suite or something like that. Kind of a niche field, I don't know. Okay, yeah, it took us up a little bit from 168 to 174. We added 6 buyers that are looking for something like that, whether it's for multi-generational living, whether it's for, maybe, short-term or mid-term rentals, something like that. Added a few buyers. That's worthwhile. Primary bedroom features. So we currently have a full bath, primary on second level. It's funny. We changed before the primary on main level, and it didn't do anything, but I didn't change it here. I forgot to change it here. So actually, that's going to be the first thing that I do. So anyway, we got primary on second level, multiple closets, shower only, and then other see remarks. I'm going to change it here now from primary on second level to primary on main and see if maybe this is the field that realtors are searching for when they're setting up their searches for clients only wanting primary on main level. And yeah, it is. We went up from 168 buyers to 198 buyers. Okay, so forget what I said before. For whatever reason, there's sometimes multiple places where these fields are redundant. And this was an example. We just went up. We gained 20% more buyers by having the primary on the main level versus the primary on the second level. That is a big deal. That is a very, very big deal. And so yeah, I think before when I changed it, I don't know. I've already changed so many things, I'm losing track. I apologize. If it had made a big difference before when I changed it and I just forgot, yeah, forget it. Let's do, so the current house does not have a walk-in closet. Let's add a walk-in closet and just see what happens. Again, I changed it back to primary on second level. Walk-in closet doesn't do anything. People are not searching for walk-in closets. Kind of interesting. Maybe there's kind of a general assumption that the home will have that, or maybe people are just like, I don't want to specifically search for that, and then, rule out other homes that have multiple closets or maybe ample closets that just aren't walk-in. Let's look at specialty rooms, okay? Let's look at, there's a lot of options here. Let's look at office. If I have an office in here, let's see if that bumps us up from 168. It does, to 177. That's noticeable. That's a noticeable difference. So having an office/study is a good thing. What about sunroom? People love their sunrooms. But it doesn't make a difference. We're still at 168 buyers with the sunroom. That's fascinating. Very, very fascinating. I'm going to do something different here. I want to see if I change it to an office and then bump us down to 3 bedrooms. All right. And so basically what I'm saying is I'm saying that one of the bedrooms is an office functionally. I'm going to see if this takes us up or down. I have no idea what's about to happen. I haven't run any of these before, so I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, so getting rid of the 4th bedroom and instead inserting an office took us from 168 buyers to 141 buyers. So that's not the move. People want the bedroom over the office. But all else being equal, people would rather have the 4th bedroom and have a dedicated office too. All right, so let me add that 4th bedroom back in, and let me get rid of the office. Let's see here. What about workshop? I can see the workshop getting us some hits. How valuable are workshops? Didn't make a difference. 168. Just for kicks, let's try wine cellar. I'm just kind of curious. Wine cellar, does it add or subtract? Well, it's not going to subtract. Yeah, it's just that we're still at 168. Nobody's searching in this area at this price point for wine cellars. Okay, let's just do a few more of these, and then I'm going to let you guys go. But I think you've gotten a good sense for, okay, what are some of the things that are valuable? What are some of the things that are not valuable? And I can actually use this tool in real time. If I have a potential seller client that's interested, if I enter all of this information in, I can actually tweak all of this to specifically answer, these questions. They're like, well, what if I add a workshop? Okay, is that going to add any value to the home? Well, it does. But is it going to actually add buyers to the home? That's kind of a different question, right? Because a feature that doesn't add buyers to your home might make your home more attractive to the buyers that are interested. But really the best features are the ones that actually add buyers, right? Those are the ones that truly do add value. Let's see if is a difference for, this is going to be the last one that I do, water heater. Okay. So currently it's an electric water heater. Let's see if I change it to gas, if people care about gas over electric, if that's like a specific search that people have. It's not. Okay, but let's try one more thing. Let's say that it's gas and tankless. See if people care about tankless. Nope. Nobody is searching for that. Not in this area, at least. So if you've got, as in my case, an electric, not tankless, a big old tank water heater, people don't care about that. People are willing to take that. Nobody at this point in time is clamoring for a gas tankless water heater. I'm going to do one more. All right. I said that was going to be it, but I want to do one more. So for the flooring in this home, it's only wood and ceramic tile, hardwood and ceramic tile flooring. What I am going to do is I'm going to add carpet as an option. And I just want to see if there is anyone that specifically wants or doesn't want carpet. Nope. That keeps us at 168. So nobody is ruling out or specifically asking for carpet, at least for a home like this. So there you go. That hopefully gives you a sense of, first off, how we can actually use the multiple listing service, and the different ways that we do. It also gives you a sense of what are some of the things that are valuable, right? The primary being on the main level versus second level, super valuable. Having a lake on your house, obviously valuable. Having a pool, valuable. Like there were several things that we went down the road there. Being one level versus being a tri-level home, valuable. And so these are the sorts of things, and you know, probably a lot of the people that are actually searching for those primary bedrooms on the main level, maybe they don't even do that search specifically. Maybe they are doing the search for, well, we're just only looking for one level homes, right? And that's their way of doing, functionally saying, we want the primary bedroom on the main level because we want everything on the main level, right? So I hope that was informative for you guys and helpful. These are some of the things that, as the market has shifted, I've started to get more creative with how I'm looking at my listings, how I'm pricing homes, how I'm assessing, you know, updates that people can do to their homes. You can't just do it the way we've always done it. You've got to stay on the cutting edge. And so I'm finding new ways to do that. And I hope you guys found that helpful and informative. So thank you so much for watching or for listening. Please like, rate, review, subscribe to the show, Selling Greenville. And please contact me via my contact information that's in the show notes. If you need a realtor, if you just want to talk shop, talk about the show, I'm always happy to do that. So thank you guys so much for watching or listening. We will talk again next time.